All right, let's dive into Nvidia today. They're everywhere, right? Especially when it comes to AI. You sent over some interesting articles from Thailand Business News and Fox's, plus an analysis of where their stock could be headed, like in the next 5 years. So what's the deal with Nvidia? Why are they so important? And what does it mean for,
Yeah.
pretty much everything?
It really is amazing how much they're connected to
Yeah, fine.
the whole AI explosion that's happening right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And speaking of explosions, Fox has had this article about Nvidia bringing in a record $39.33 billion in revenue last quarter. Q4 of 2024, that's huge. That's like
Yeah.
a 78% jump compared to the year before. I mean, what's driving that?
Well, they're dominating, right, the GPU market.
Especially.
When we're talking about gaming and these huge data centers, I mean, those chips they make, they're essential if you're going to do anything with AI. And that whole field is just exploding.
No kidding. And you know what's crazy? Their data center revenue alone was $35.6 billion. So that's almost 91% of their total revenue. Like, it seems like they've gone all in on data centers. But what does that even mean for, like, normal people?
Well, that's the thing. It shows how important cloud computing is becoming. And AI. It's all connected. Think about it. Personalized recommendations, on like
Just streaming stuff.
vehicle diagnoses, all that stuff. It depends on data centers, like massive ones. That crunch tons of information. And guess what? You need NVIDIA's chips to do that.
So they're kind of like selling the tools.
For the AI gold rush. Pretty smart.
Yeah, exactly. And their CEO, Jensen Huang, he's actually said that the need for computing power for AI could be millions of times greater than it is right now.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Oh.
But Thailand Business News had this article. They talked about revenue growth rates, like how they dipped a little bit from 94% down to 78% year over year. And then their gross margin shrunk too. Should investors be worried? Well, it's not unreasonable to look at that and think, what's going on? But tech is just such a fast-moving thing. Things change quickly. So don't panic yet.
Not at all. I mean, NVIDIA is not just sitting there, watching this happen. They're working on it. One thing is, they're going to launch these new GPUs, the Blackwell architecture. They're supposed to be, way more efficient, especially for AI stuff.
Blackwell architecture, that sounds really complicated. What is it about this new architecture that makes it so important?
Imagine a car, right? That gets amazing gas mileage, but it's super slow.
Like so.
And then you get a new engine. That somehow gets even better gas mileage and makes the car super fast. That's kind of what Blackwell is doing for AI. It's about doing more with less.
Right, so maybe a few bumps in the road for NVIDIA, but they seem like they can handle it. Now, about the stock, Foxy's mentioned that it dipped after they projected $43 billion in revenue for Q1 2025. Which is still a lot, but it was less than some analysts were expecting. What do you think about that? I think, the stock market, it can get spooked easily by little things. So that dip might not mean much in the long run. NVIDIA still the top dog in AI.
Yeah. Speaking of competition, there's that Chinese company, DeepSeek. That caused their stock to drop back in January, some people were saying. They were a real threat to NVIDIA. What's the deal with them?
Oh, yeah, DeepSeek. They're definitely doing some cool stuff. Even Jensen Huang called them an excellent innovation, which, coming from him, is a big deal.
Okay, but are they actually a threat?
I don't think so. I actually think they could end up helping NVIDIA.
Really? Wow.
Well, they open source their technology, so anyone can use it and modify it. And, get this, they're working with NVIDIA to make sure it runs great on those Blackwell chips we were talking about. So more people will use AI. Which means more demand for NVIDIA's chips.
Interesting. So they're not fighting. They're kind of working together.
Kind of, yeah. It's like you both get a bigger piece of the pie.
Okay, so what about these stock predictions? Our analysis said NVIDIA could hit $667 per share in 5 years. But
we just talked about some problems, right? Like slowing growth.
Yeah, stock predictions. You can never be too sure about those.
Right.
This one, it's based on some real factors, like how much the AI chip market is expected to grow. We're talking maybe $311 to $400 billion by 2029. So, like, if that happens, everyone's going to benefit, but especially the company that's already in the lead.
Sure.
Makes sense. So even with some challenges, NVIDIA looks like they're in a good spot to take advantage of this whole AI thing. They have the tech, the vision, and a market that's about to explode. But what does it all mean for those of us who aren't tech people?
That's the question that we're going to unpack in the next part of our deep dive. Because, NVIDIA's success is interesting, like from a money perspective. But it's more than that. It's about how their technology.
It's going to change everything. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. We'll be right back after a quick break. All right, so we know NVIDIA is doing well, and AI is a big deal. But what does that actually look like? Like in the real world?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in all the numbers and stuff.
For sure.
But AI is already
Yeah.
changing things in all sorts of industries.
Okay.
Well, take healthcare.
Okay.
Nvidia's GPUs, they're using these AI algorithms
Right.
that can, like, analyze medical images. And they can do it way better than humans.
Really?
Yeah. So doctors can
Mm.
find diseases earlier and make better treatment decisions.
I've heard about that. It's pretty amazing. Like AI can see things that humans just miss.
Yeah.
Are there other examples, like in other fields?
Oh, yeah, tons. So self-driving cars,
Mm-hmm.
Nvidia's tech is a big part of that. Their chips can handle all that data from the sensors and cameras.
Yeah.
So the car can actually,
Wow.
drive itself.
Yeah,
And
it's entertainment.
like movies and video games.
Yeah.
They use Nvidia's GPUs for all the crazy special effects and to create those realistic virtual worlds.
So they're not just in tech.
Nope, they're everywhere.
With all this AI stuff, are there downsides, like ethical concerns or risks?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Any powerful technology, you have to be careful with it.
Right.
One thing people worry about is jobs. Like, what happens when AI can do what humans do?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right. And then there's the issue of bias.
Bias.
Yeah. Like, if the data used to train the AI is biased, the AI will be biased too.
Oh, I see.
And that can have real consequences, like in hiring or loan applications,
Yeah.
even in the justice system.
So it's not all good.
No, it's
We
not.
need to be careful.
Definitely. We need to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And make sure we're using AI responsibly.
Okay, so NVIDIA seems to be in a good position, but things change fast, right? In tech.
Oh, yeah, super fast.
So can they stay on top? What are some things that could, like, threaten them?
Well, competition. I mean, NVIDIA's big now.
Yeah.
But there are other companies working on AI chips, too.
We talked about DeepSeek,
Right.
but who else?
And, well, Intel's a big one.
Really?
Yeah, they're putting a lot of resources into AI chips.
Mm.
And then Google.
Google.
Yeah, they have their own chips
Yeah.
called tensor processing units, or TPUs, specifically for machine learning.
Wow. So NVIDIA has to watch out?
They do.
What, are they doing anything to stay ahead?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One thing they're doing is focusing on specialized chips. So they have different chips for different AI tasks.
Like what?
Well, like training AI models
Okay.
and then running those models in data centers.
Yeah.
And then there's edge computing,
Mm-hmm.
where the AI processing happens on the device itself, like on your phone or in a self-driving car.
So they're trying to cover all their bases.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they're also building a whole ecosystem around their chips.
What does that mean?
They're working with software developers.
Yeah.
And hardware manufacturers and cloud providers. So their tech works seamlessly with everything.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not enough to just have the best chips. They have to make it easy for people to use them.
Right.
So NVIDIA's doing a lot. Let's stay on top.
But back to us regular folks.
Mm-hmm.
What's this all going to mean for our lives, like in the next few years?
That's the big question. It's hard to say for sure, but I think AI is going to be a bigger and bigger part of our lives.
In what ways?
What we talked about, healthcare and transportation. But I think it's also going to change how we work.
Like how?
Imagine AI helping architects design cities,
Okay.
or scientists develop new drugs.
Mm.
Artists and musicians could use AI to create new kinds of art.
Wow.
It could change everything.
That's exciting.
It is. But we have to be careful. We need to make sure AI is used ethically.
Right. We talked about that.
They need to make sure it benefits everyone.
Not just a few people.
Exactly.
This has been a really interesting conversation. We've learned a lot about NVIDIA
Yeah.
and about AI. But there's one last question I want to ask you and our listeners. So that AI chip market we were talking about, the one that could be worth hundreds of billions of dollars, if it gets that big, what else could it change? Like in the next 5 years, what should people be thinking about?
That's a good question. We've talked about some things.
Yeah.
Like healthcare, transportation, entertainment. But I think the real power of AI is that it can help us be more creative and solve problems better.
So it's not just about AI taking our jobs.
Right.
It's about AI changing how we work.
Exactly.
Okay, so,
How could that happen?
well, imagine architects
Mhm.
using AI to design, like,
Wow.
entire cities
Yeah.
that are totally sustainable.
Wow.
Or scientists using AI to develop new drugs that could save lives.
Okay. Yeah.
Even artists and musicians could use AI to create. totally new kinds of art.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's exciting. But we have to be careful
Right.
to make sure AI is used for good.
Ethically.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool, and we need to make sure it doesn't make things worse.
So it's not just about the tech. It's about us and how we use it.
Exactly.
Okay. We've covered a lot today. NVIDIA's success, the competition,
Right.
and what AI could mean for all of us was the one thing you want our listeners to remember.
I think the most important thing is to stay curious.
The AI world is changing so fast. You have to keep learning and talking about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions and challenge assumptions. Think about what you want AI to be in your life and in the world.
Don't just sit back and watch. Be a part of it.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's our deep dive into NVIDIA and the future of AI. It's complicated. And things are changing all the time. But hopefully, this has given you some things to think about.
I hope so.
And thanks to our listener for sending in those articles. Keep exploring. Keep asking questions. Who knows what the future holds? But it's going to be interesting.